It's a bit of an unusual one today, because whereas I usually find myself in a situation where I almost feel like a fear that I won't have enough to talk about, or like can't really think of anything to talk about, today's the complete opposite. And as I was driving home from the gym, I had quite a few things on my mind, a couple of which I've already forgotten, that I knew that I wanted to speak about, which is strange. It's really strange for me to be in this position. And it's almost frustrating, because there's a part of me that wishes I was in a place where I could have taken a note or two whilst I was driving, but that's not really possible. But anyway, today's session was a somewhat strange one. It lacked intention, if I'm being completely honest. It definitely lacked intention, because I was in a place where mentally and physically I was fine. Like, I was raring to go. I could have worked hard. I could have pushed myself. Could have done yesterday's session or any session that I've done in the last few days, which have all been quite taxing and quite tough. Could have done them all again today. But for whatever reason, got warm on the treadmill and just felt like I had lacked imagination, really, and felt lost for ideas as to what I wanted to do. Like, nothing that I could think of like really grabbed me. And I had the idea that I knew I wanted to push, because I haven't pushed in a while properly. But even then, that just didn't really stimulate me. So I was just a little bit like lost, and a little bit, like I said, like lacked imagination. Couldn't think of anything to get my juices flowing. So I ended up just doing some weighted press-ups, and followed that up by some landmine presses, and that was my session today. That was literally it. That was my session today. It was real simple. It was an unintentional deload day, I guess you could say. Pretty much my entire lower body got a complete rest, just some blood flow work. I didn't stretch. I'll do that tonight at home. And yeah, funnily enough, the majority of my time spent in the gym today was spent having a conversation with somebody I've known for a little while at the gym now, like the coolest person I've ever met at a gym in particular. Blessed guy, man. We get on like a house on fire, so whenever a conversation sparks, it usually means the end of my workout anyway. But yeah, like, as I was driving home after that conversation, which would have made for one hell of a podcast, I was thinking about something that my godmother put me onto, some nice piece of game that she put me onto a couple of years ago now, I want to say. And she said, based on her experience, having moved to Dubai and lived in Dubai and started a new life in Dubai, she spoke about how liberating it is to make new friends and meet new people as an adult, because the people that you encounter and like develop connections with and build relationships with, they don't hold you to anything that you used to be, or anything that you once were, or even the odd thing or two that you once did, because they can't. It's a clean slate. You are blank canvases to one another that you then paint the picture of. You then paint the picture of that person and your idea of that person based on the communication that you share with them. And they do the same to you. And you don't have to feel smaller or bigger based on what you were once upon a time. And at the time, that spoke to me. It did speak to me. It just wasn't real to me. And the reason why it spoke to me is because I'm somebody who's still very much in contact with and close with friends from school. Like, I speak to people that I've known since the age of 12, and in some cases the age of, I want to say 4 or 5, on a daily basis, on a regular basis, right? I'm 25 years old. Some of these people I've known for what's that? It's 80-90% of my life. So it's only natural that, and it's only natural that they would hold me to certain ideals that they've had of me for however many years. Whether that is still who I am or not isn't really their fault. Like, that's just who they know and how they know me, right? Whereas when you're a grown man and you meet new people, you're not. I worded it really well in my head when I was driving home, and I can't remember the exact words I used. But whilst you can still be yourself with the people that you've known for the majority of your life, or the people that you've known since you was 12, or the people that you've known since you were a teenager, whilst you can very much be yourself, there will be times where you have to quite literally like break somebody's understanding and idea of you and expose them to this new evolved version of yourself, right? You don't have to do that with somebody new. Like, you can just be you and not have to concern yourself with breaking any preconceived conceptions. I think that makes sense. Or yeah, you don't have to break any formal idea that they've had of you. You can just be who you are, and then they will then paint whatever picture they desire of you based on who you are. And that's really freeing, and it's really fucking liberating. And like, every time I speak to my mate at the gym, I really feel that. Like, I've spoken to him about shit. I barely even know the fucking guy. I've never met him outside of the gym. And I've spoken to him about shit that I've only spoken to my brother about, for example, and my best friend. And that's crazy to me. And it's easy to do that. I find it really easy to do that. And I find it that there's no fear in doing that shit, because it's like, well, yeah, like, I am who I am. You can like it or love it, for one. And two, before I expose you to this new way of, or this way of thinking that I have, or before I expose you to the way that I think, I don't have to destroy this idea that you had of the way that I used to think. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a crazy one, man. It's a really interesting thing for me anyway to ponder. And it's something that I'm extremely grateful for my godmother just making me aware of, even prior to it being real to me. Because yeah, I really enjoy thinking about shit like that, and I really enjoy being aware and conscious of things like that, because I feel like it's important. That was a big topic of conversation today, was exactly that, like, the importance of being a thinking man. Like, there's a reason why whenever anybody says the term thinking man, the first thing that we think of as men is that statue, the thinking man statue. Like, if you grew up in the Western world, that shit, you can't not know that statue. It's legendary. And of course, one must practice balance in all areas of life. However, I feel like, yeah, there is a lot of beauty in being the thinking man. I don't really know where I'm going with this now. I'm pretty much done. At this point, I'm just waffling, to be quite frank. Because I had a lot more to say, and I'm surprised I was able to divulge it so quickly and so efficiently. But there was definitely more. But we got a lifetime, so patience. I'll see you tomorrow.